Hello, my name is Matthew Darlitz and I'm the Editor-in-Chief of the Neuropsychotherapist. This is our weekly report, and this week we're going to hear from Richard Hill, once again from California at the conference that he's been at. And we're also going to hear from Dr. Dave and find out what's happening on Shrink Wrap Radio. I myself have been working very hard with my team of editors this week, pulling together the next issue of the Neuropsychotherapist, our quarterly magazine. So unfortunately I don't have anything to report to you this week, so we'll jump right in and let's kick it off with Dr. Dave. Thanks, Dr. Dave.
Hello again, Matthew, and thank you once again for inviting me. And I've got wonderful news to share with all your readers. Our next podcast interview will be number 382, if you can imagine that. Shrink Wrap Radio number 382, and my guest is Dr. Lawrence Heller, who for years has been a senior trainer for Peter A. Levine's somatic experiencing, and he's done workshops on that all over the country here and all over the world. And now he's developed his own approach, and he's written a book about it. And here's the book. It's titled Healing Developmental Trauma: How Early Trauma Affects Self-Regulation, Self-Image, and the Capacity for Relationship. And he's developed his own very integrative approach called NARM, N-A-R-M, which stands for, and I have to read it from the book cover here, Neuroaffective Relational Model for Restoring Connection. And I would add, and aliveness. He talks a lot in the book about connection and aliveness. Those are the two main overarching goals of his approach. And what else do I want to tell you? Oh yes, he also authored an earlier book called Crash Course. So that book was about automobile crashes, or what he refers to as shock trauma. And in this more recent book, he's talking about developmental trauma. Well, that's kind of an interesting distinction. And I actually raised the question with him whether or not that was spreading the meaning of trauma a little bit too thinly, because in a way he seems to be implying that we all at some level suffer from developmental trauma. Well, his approach is a very integrative one. As I've already mentioned, it builds on somatic experiencing, but also on Gestalt therapy, on attachment theory, on bioenergetics and body work, and on psychodynamic theory. And it's very oriented towards the here and now. So it's a very integrative approach. He doesn't go into great depth about the brain and neuropsychology. However, I don't think there's anything in this book that contradicts the sort of information that's been coming out of that research. So this is a good one. Of course, I think all of them are good ones. So I'll look forward to talking to you and all you out there again soon. And if I don't get a chance to say it before then, happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks, Dr. Dave. And now let's cross over to Richard Hill, who's bringing us some more from the conference that he's been at in California. Thanks, Richard.
Here we are at the Erickson Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference. I'm here with Carol Bean, who's, as you can see behind, to do with the relationships first. This is just a fantastic whole organization. But Carol, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with this fabulous situation?
Yeah, it's amazing. So a number of the people who are the leaders of relationship research and cultural icons like Alanis Morissette and couple therapy brilliant people have gotten together for the last 2 or 3 years, and they've been discussing how do we take the core wisdom that unites all of us, which is that healthy relationships build a healthy world, and get it into the drinking water so that we are not so disconnected from our core wisdom and truth. So that's what they've been doing. They've been discussing it, and they've come up with kind of a clear understanding of what the message is, that relationships first, and then how do we get that out into the world in a way that is that resonates and actually motivates people to start really making a difference in their lives. So They've been in a conversation, like a brilliant think tank, for 2 or 3 years, and now this is opening up the conversation to the rest of the world. And so we just did a soft launch this week and gathering people's emails, so you can go online to relationshipsfirst.org. Yes.
Relationship first.
Relationshipsfirst.org. And sign on and let us know your identity. I had to press other because I'm not a therapist.
You look a bit like another.
I do. I have multiple personalities. Multiple identities. But so sign on and we'll get you part of the conversation. One of the things that I was just talking to someone about, them saying that when you look at football, no, that may not be, our American football teams, that the ones that do well and win are the ones where it's healthy relationships at the top. Isn't that amazing? And the ones that do very poorly, even though they have the talent, is because it's dysfunctional. The other thing is that parents are motivated to help their kids do better in school by learning how to be better at communicating, have a peaceful, harmonious atmosphere. So, we know this wisdom. How do we get it into our schools? How do we teach people who are getting married? What do we have? We have manuals. If you're going to get you have to read and go to school to get a license to do multiple things. But to get married is $20, or in my case in California it was $90, and no training. So other than our own history, which is often not all that good. So
here we are again, folks, re-explaining to the most relationship-oriented species on the planet
that's right.
how to have relationships. So we've lost stuff. And these guys, I mean, when we're talking about those names, we know those names. Havel Hendricks, we've got Dan Siegel, we've got Marion Solomon, we've got great people.
Diane Ackerman.
100.
John and Julie Gottman.
The Gottmans, goodness gracious me.
Yes.
All these experts who are going to reteach us what to do.
Alanis Morissette.
And Alanis Morissette is in there. She's and that's one of the people, which is great.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you very much for spending a bit of time. And I'm going to show the wall behind us of all the people. There's millions of them. So come join me and come join.
Yes, join us in the conversation.
Thanks, guys. Relationshipsfirst.org. This is something we all have to do as good neuroscientists and as good neuropsychotherapists. We need to get into this discussion and contribute and learn from, connect to these enormous experts. Thank you. Bye.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we have for you this week. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and we will catch up once again in a week from now. Goodbye.